You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com. Well, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. There it is. A little blank thing at the bottom there. And we're just having casual conversations for serious workflows. But today on the workshop, we're going to be talking about a couple things dealing with a new feature inside of QuickBooks Online that allows you to do shipping. And we have added that as a submodule for all of our courses as we unpack that here today. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the aspects of school bookkeeping that people may not know about, but that is the community, especially today in today's world, this being an election year. Social media is a great way to connect, but there's a lot of noise. Let's just say that. and distractions. And there's various Facebook groups that are out there. We have one in the ABBO Facebook group where we can get together and talk about some of the things that are concerning to us as accounting pros and business owners. But School of Bookkeeping has its own built-in community, and all members of School of Bookkeeping have access to that community. It allows you to be able to pop in, ask your question, and it looks like Rachel's coming back here. Did we lose you?
Oops.
Rachel.
Oopsie. Here.
That's okay.
Sorry
Hey,
about that.
Jeff, watching us.
I just, for a minute there, I was like, I don't want to talk about QuickBooks Online. Just kidding. I love QuickBooks Online. You know that.
Yeah, I set up a joke and you were frozen, and I didn't have my laugh track, which is Rachel Dauchy.
Was my face frozen in a really bizarre way?
I don't think it was too awkward, but it was definitely awkward for me talking to you when you weren't responding. We were just talking a little bit. Well, I was just talking without you, but we were talking about the community that's built into School of Bookkeeping. And a lot of people may not realize that there is a community that's built in there, but all members will have access to the community. And I was going to just share my screen here real quick, and I forgot to do that ahead of time. But let me go ahead and do that. Hopefully there's not too much of a lag when I turn it on. But inside of the community, when you go into your library, you'll see an option to access the community. But you can access this on a web browser or through the mobile app. If you have a mobile app downloaded for School of Bookkeeping, which you can do. We'll talk about that probably next week. But inside of there is all sorts of what the community calls circles, but we have them broken down into various areas. So if you have questions about payroll or QuickBooks Desktop or just QuickBooks Online, maybe you have a payments question, you can pop in there and see what the feed is and and just like any other Facebook group that has these types of questions, we try to break them down into various areas or topics so that you don't have to go searching for one particular topic. You can go into that area and look inside and see if that question's already been asked and see what others
I love that organization. Oh, it's so great.
And it keeps you out of social media, right? So that all those distractions that we have that are built into social media, I get stuck.
I know, me too. It's like this group that I really like. It's in a Facebook group, but then I scroll past recipes I want to look at, and then I get sidetracked.
Right. Right. And what we're going to start doing here at School of Bookkeeping is one of the neat things that you can, in this particular community, is challenges. where you can earn points and those types of things. And so we're going to start starting some challenges. And first challenge will be to share the workshop Wednesday on your social media preference, right? So sharing lots of,
I thought you meant like challenges, Goku, or like word
oh,
games thing. I was like,
well,
yes, please.
there's all sorts of other challenges that we could do, and you can earn little rewards and those types of things. But what we're going to be doing with School of Bookkeeping specifically is having this share challenge for the workshop, because we want to make sure that we're able to share our conversations because they are so serious. Uh,
Yes.
those serious conversations with as many people as possible. So if you share the live workshop, just let us know that it's been done. You can do that inside of the challenge when we start launching it. We'll probably start it next week or so. Then you can earn some points. And what we're going to be doing with those points is entering you into a School of Bookkeeping drawing to be able to earn or get some swag. So it's just a nice little way to thank you for sharing the message here. But that's in the community, but all members of School of Bookkeeping have access to this community. If not, let me know and I'll make sure that it's available for you. But it's a nice way to able to ask questions of us or other members as well.
By the way, I don't know about you, but I am not a super big fan of contacting Intuit tech support. How do I do this? How do I do that? So every single bit of information that I've ever needed, I get from these types of communities. So I have learned so much in, and I don't want to, I've been doing this kind of work for a long time, but really just working with QuickBooks Online, maybe 5 years. And I feel like I have learned so many things just by asking communities. Mind boggling.
Yeah, because it's definitely there's so much to know, and especially when you start getting into a specific workflow or niche or whatever,
Yes.
however, wherever you live on the Canadian border, if it's north or
Yes.
south of that, however you pronounce that word. But when you start to get into specific workflows, then that requires a little more bit more intimate knowledge with regards to what QuickBooks can offer.
Yeah, because
Um,
it's also like you may it may have the functionality of doing it this way, but you may need the specific experience of somebody that's done it that way. And so that's a lot different than the standard way it should be used. And
yeah,
so you're not going to get the answers to that kind of thing from a chat bot that's going to send you an article. You know what I
right.
mean? That's just not. So this type of information is a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. And speaking of specific niches and niches, we are in the process of finishing up the e-commerce fundamentals course where we'll be talking, and Rachel and I did have a series of really great discussions about a year ago, and now we're taking those and turning them into an e-commerce fundamental course, which is available. You can see it now if you are a premier member of School of Bookkeeping. It's not quite finished just yet, but you can start to go through some of these topics and give us some feedback on how it's laid out for you. But we broke down e-commerce fundamentals in various sections of what does it take? What are the sales tax considerations when it comes to e-commerce? What about inventory management, different online sales channels, and those types of things? And then how do you account for all of that when when you're doing all these? One of the discussions that we actually had was involving around shipping and fulfillment, right? And so there's no one size fits all answer when it comes to e-commerce of saying you're going to always use this or you're going to always use that, because there's so many different choices and options, which leads us to our topic of today, which is, guess what? There's a new way in QuickBooks to do shipping. So let me go over here. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do when you're setting up shipping is to make sure that you have shipping turned on. So you would go to the gear and go into your company settings, and that's under sales, right?
And Dan, can I ask you, this is we're implying that they have inventory turned on. Yes.
I would assume if you're shipping something, then you would track that as inventory.
Yeah,
But
because I can't imagine you wouldn't be using the shipping module. You didn't have inventory turned on unless you're shipping.
like in most cases, the answer is it depends, right? You
Yeah.
can still ship a non-inventory item, right? If you're not, it's all in the tracking,
You're
right?
right. You're right. Okay. Okay. I guess okay. Because I know we would have a lot of things set up as non-inventory items, but I guess, okay, I get it.
How you have it tracked on set up in QuickBooks and the reality of whatever it is that you're doing, as it can be two different things, right? You don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to have a quote unquote inventory item as the only option in order to ship something,
You could be doing inventory related things, but you
right?
still technically have inventory turned off. Okay.
And I have this box here. I just picked it up off the table, right? However, I set this up inside of QuickBooks, if I incorrectly set it up as a service item, I can still ship it in
Right. Yeah.
reality. It's just what is QuickBooks going to do with the accounting of that when I
Right.
enter this
Yes.
on a
Yeah.
invoice or sales receipt or whatever. So,
It's just because all I do is think about inventory. It's like turning my mind crazy.
right.
I just can't not think about inventory.
So our first step is you need to turn on shipping inside of the settings, which is under uh, sales and then shipping, just making sure that toggle is turned on because otherwise you won't see any of these cool functions. So you want to make sure that it's turned on first. Now, there are multiple ways to access this landing page, which is talking about simplifying your shipping. One of the things about shipping, and we talked about this, Rachel, in our shipping and fulfillment discussion about e-commerce, is that you're not quite sure what is the best way and the best rates to ship something, right? So you can always just measure this, put it on your scale, and you've got the dimensions and cost of, or the dimensions and weight of this particular item. But as far as should I send that through UPS or FedEx or USPS? I don't know. QuickBooks Desktop had a shipping manager that is basically a way to put in your account at USPS or UPS or FedEx and be able to print shipping labels and track that
Yeah.
information back into the QuickBooks sales transaction. But it wasn't that holistic. What's the best carrier to choose?
Right. Right.
It's you just go out to the USPS account that you've that's connected and put in that information. But that's what I like about this particular online shipping manager is that once you put in that information, it will shop the various other carriers all
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
once.
Like
And
ShipStation. So it's really mimicking something like that.
yeah, yeah. Now, this particular feature and this is part of the challenge and the situation that happens when it comes to when you're doing all this stuff inside of QuickBooks, right? This precludes the fact that you're doing all your shipping inside of your QuickBooks, right? If you're using something outside of QuickBooks, like Shopify, when we talked about Shopify, obviously you wouldn't be doing the shipping
Right.
from Shopify at that point. So now you have to make a decision. Where is my source of shipping? So is it going to be inside of my QuickBooks? Then I need to make sure that my sales transaction has the detail to be able to have that information be usable inside of my QuickBooks. Because if you're sending your information from Shopify through Bookkeep as a journal entry, guess what?
It's
You
going to
won't be
work.
able to use this.
Yeah. It's only going to work if you're actually importing transactions.
Right. So you now have to have that detail.
Yep.
This particular online shipping manager is a partner. Intuit is partnered with Ship Engine, which is the
Oh, yeah.
which is a platform that is utilizing that. And they talk about that you can get a discount off of regular rates just by, this is one of those things where it's like the power of community,
Yeah.
right? Because they're bringing a lot of users to their table. So
Yeah.
they're able to negotiate better shipping rates more so than you going over to the post office and mailing this or shipping
Which
this
would be
out to your
incredibly
customer.
expensive if you took something and even took it to UPS and said ship it ground. It's a big difference than using these aggregators,
Exactly.
especially if you were using something like Shopify shipping, because you really do get more reasonable rates.
All right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to turn on when you connect to go to buy a shipping label, then you're going to need to set up a Ship Engine account. And I have not actually done this, so we'll see what we
So
need to
does
do.
it prompt you to do it within QuickBooks, or do you have to go externally out to Ship Engine?
No, this is what's nice is it's all without leaving QuickBooks. So all of the things that you're going to be setting up and doing those social is directly within QuickBooks. And it's going to be pulling the information from a sales transaction. So the ship from and the ship to is already pulled in from the invoice.
Yeah.
And then all you need to do then is, so this particular one is being sent to.
Everything's so integrated.
Yeah. All right. So let's just say, see, what does that look like? 8 inches?
I can't even see. It just looks like a box. My eyes
The
are
box. It's just a box of candles.
Oh, can't.
Let's just say it's 2 inches wide and maybe an inch high. And then how much it weighs. I was planning to put my scale here, but
Yeah, I was
so I
just
could
gonna
actually
say,
get
do they have an integrated scale? Because otherwise, how?
they do not. So you're gonna have to weigh the box somehow.
Yeah.
Let's see. This seems to weigh about 4 ounces. So I'll say that, and then I click on get shipping rates.
I was like,
Oh,
well,
I do have to put a valid phone number here.
I don't know. I'd be weirded out if I didn't know exactly how much it weighed.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. So apparently you have to put in the right phone number. And then we get the option for getting the shipping rate. So this tells me UPS ground advantage, the parcel select ground, so USPS. And then if I choose more, oh, there we go, my add carriers option. So then this takes me out to the other carriers to be able to connect with other carriers. So being able to, at this point, it looks like it's USPS. But if you have your own accounts with other carriers, you can add them here so that it will do that shopping all at once. So it looks like this particular.
Does it allow you to connect into your other accounts for free, or do they charge you a fee to do that? Because Shopify makes you pay to connect in your external accounts with UPS, USPS, etc.
I'll have to do some digging or double checking on that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of standard.
Yeah.
Because they want you. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Oh, let's see here. So by default, without putting any billing information in here at all, I was able to get the rates for USPS based off of the dimensions and weight of the ship from and to of where it's coming from and where it's going to. And then once I do that, let's see what I have to choose one. Then now it's giving me the option for the summary, and then I can buy and print that from here. So there's my shipping label and giving me the ability to do that. Now, this was the questions that I had about it because, when you're thinking of shipping, you're thinking of those shipping labels, right? The 4x6 thermal printers that print the label, or what is it actually going to do, right? Like when you're thinking about QuickBooks and printing, oftentimes it just uses the browser's printer
Yeah.
settings and
Set it up.
potentially, yeah, potentially setting up a dedicated shipping thermal label printer and what is actually going to happen with that shipping label
It's
when
really
it's
super
actually
easy.
printed.
I have it. I just got a Dymo printer from Amazon. Easy peasy.
Mhm.
Stickers. Yep. You just you hit print and then you go to your printer settings. You have to select the right printer. Like I have a little Dymo one and you just select it,
Right.
not your default printer, and it's super easy.
Yeah, I'm just a little leery of this is when you're printing from QuickBooks, sometimes that alignment's off or like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying. It'll usually work though, because I have that printing from QuickBooks. No, but I get what you're saying. You
the
probably have to like tinker with it a little bit, and
yeah,
then it'll align up right.
worst case scenario, if you don't have a dedicated thermal printer to print your shipping labels, you can print it on plain paper and
Yeah,
then you just affix it to your package. And then that will still work. Hopefully, there's no rain that washes it away
yeah,
because it is just paper at that point. So you would then want to laminate or cover it up with packing tape and those types of things so that that shipping label is protected.
yeah.
But
But you know
that
what? At the post office and at UPS, I don't know if you've noticed, they tell you do not tape over the code.
right,
So
because that could
yeah,
mess with the
now
barcode.
that doesn't mean I don't do it. I do, but uh,
Right.
every time I'm like, "You don't want me to do this," but I'm doing it anyway. But I'm telling you that the little thermo label printers, you can get them at Staples or Amazon. It couldn't be easier. At first, I was like, "This is too technical for me," but I figured it out.
All right. If Rachel can figure it out,
Yeah.
then there's hope.
Yeah.
Now, when you actually do buy and print the label, that information, the tracking information gets fed back into the invoice so you can track the shipment directly from QuickBooks. There's various ways that you can get to printing a shipping label. You can go right now from the global plus new button, I like to call it. It's right underneath customers. You can access the shipping label and then you just pull in the invoice that you want from there. If you're on an invoice, right, I got to say no. So let's go to an invoice, historical one, historical. There we go. So down at the bottom, you have this buy shipping label option, which will start the wizard from there. But if you start from if you start from an invoice, obviously you don't have to select that invoice as the option of where it's going from and to. And so it's going to pre-populate with the from and shipping address, from and to shipping address from the invoice. And then you just enter in the package information in there. There's a variety of resources that we've made available on the School of Bookkeeping sub module that we're making here. So you can take a look at that as far as the various codes or status. What's plural of status? Is statuses,
I don't. It can't be stat I. It's got to be statuses.
but you can see what those mean and track those shipments and packages directly within your QuickBooks, which then leads to this allows you now to be able to communicate that shipping process directly from QuickBooks inside of your customers. If you're using QuickBooks Online Advanced, you can start to take some of the advanced workflows and make those things automated so that that information as statuses update, you can keep track of that. And that's one of the things that those like the ShipStation and the Shopify shipping, that's what those things are designed to be able to
Yeah.
do is to communicate the shipping process through your to your customer
Yeah.
automatically. So
Really
that
important. Wait, so now in the invoice, you know how there's that little timeline where you can
mhm.
see it was sent, it was opened, and is it going to show it was shipped, it arrived? I would think that would be really helpful.
I would imagine, but I have again, I haven't. I'm seeing this for the first time, just as much as you are.
Oh,
So that would be good for it to add if it's not there.
yeah.
I'm sure it's something that they're looking into making sure that you have visibility into that because of its deep integration. I can see that being
Yeah, that's really
a
that's what
possibility.
I would want. If I
Yeah,
were to make a list of things I'd want with this installed, I would have that.
yeah. So that's the idea behind the online shipping manager. A little bit different than the QuickBooks Desktop integrated shipping manager, but allows you to compare and shop the various ways of shipping, and then allows that to know that inside of your QuickBooks.
Yeah, it's cool. I really like it. I think they did a good job with it. Again, like you always have those, will it work for really high volume? I don't know. And
Yeah.
really, you wouldn't be having individual sales transactions come over if it were
Mhm.
ultra high volumes. There's always a consideration. But if you are doing the size of operation that would work to do this,
Mhm.
it seems like it's really integrated and it would work great.
Yeah, I don't see this as, and this is typical for any new offering or integration directly within QuickBooks Online. I don't see somebody who's got a well-established shipping operation
No.
leaping to change
No.
over to this. This is, in most cases, with any new function inside of QuickBooks, it's for the people that didn't even know what to do. This
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
this
yeah.
is the kiddie pool of shipping, but it is end to end, right? Like you have the
Yep,
whole
yep.
experience for that for somebody who's wanting to figure out, okay, how do I ship this product inside of my out
Yeah,
directly
yeah,
inside my QuickBooks? I have an entry point to be able to do that. And then that will lead them to, as they grow, okay, now I've reached the limitations of what this
yeah,
do. I need to take off my floaties and
yeah,
go into the big pool,
yeah.
right?
Because sometimes the more advanced systems will include the accrued accounting and that kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it's really for high volume, that stuff comes into play, but yeah, I think, like, you described it for somebody that just isn't sure, and there's a lot of moving parts in e-commerce, and so to be able to have something like this as in your source of truth is the way they like to call it, and to have something like this to really have a solution to help people, and then maybe, like, they're, "Okay, now I've got the shipping thing underway, and now maybe my needs are changing, and now I can look to something else."
Exactly. So we've taken the resources that are out there about this shipping manager. We've made a sub module. I started putting it, excuse me, got choked up there. I started putting it in the QuickBooks Online Simple Start, and then I'll copy that into the other versions of courses that we have for the different levels and flavors, because there wouldn't be any difference in functionality for this in QuickBooks Online Simple Start um, versus advanced, short of, like you said, if they're tracking inventory,
Yeah.
but you can still put non-inventory or service items on an invoice and ship them, even though you may not be tracking them
Uh,
as legitimate inventory items. It's just what's going on underneath the sales transaction when they're inventory versus non-inventory. So we'll
cool.
put that in the updated courses, and then look for. So next week we're gonna take a break, and then we'll skip over next week because I have another follow-up for my wife's surgery to go to, and that's a whole day's event to go across the Puget Sound from where we're at. Won't be making the workshop next week, so we're going to have to pause on that. But the week after is we're going to start a new series, and we're going to start a new series with Sean from Katana, where we're going to be comparing the advanced inventory functions in QuickBooks Enterprise with Katana. So
oh, okay.
for those people who are considering moving from a desktop product, and what are those workflows that I use in QuickBooks Enterprise, and how do they translate to an online cloud-based solution? And we'll talk about specifically with Katana.
Doesn't mean I love Katana. I have few clients in Katana. I love it.
Because as we talked about in the e-commerce discussions, there are a variety of inventory management solutions out there, and there is not a one size fits all, especially when you're used to those workflows inside of QuickBooks Enterprise. How do they translate to a cloud-based solution? Maybe it doesn't do exactly the same thing that it does in QuickBooks Enterprise, but maybe it does it better.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't do it at all.
It's Katana and this other connector if maybe it's not going to transmit the information the way you want. So, yeah.
So we'll start that
I do
series.
A lot.
We'll start that series in 2 weeks. And we're not going to overload you with doing it every week. We'll maybe take a week off in different topics there so that you don't get too burnt out on inventory.
I'm already burned out. That's okay.
All right. So we'll see you next time on the workshop. We appreciate you joining us here today, and hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next time. And that wraps up another insightful episode of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and took away some valuable tips and strategies to enhance your bookkeeping practice. Remember, if you want to stay ahead in the world of bookkeeping and accounting, be sure to visit Schoolofbookkeeping.com. With a wide range of courses, resources, and expert guidance, you'll find everything you need to sharpen your skills and boost your career. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content every week. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, reach out to us on social media or send us an email at support@schoolofbookkeeping.com. We love hearing from our listeners and are always looking for new ideas to explore. Thanks for tuning in to Workshop Wednesday. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep excelling in your bookkeeping journey. I'm Dan DeLong, and we'll see you next week.